From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. With the latest details on the Ukrainian-Russian battle and how it impacts your wallet at home today. But we'll be turning first to the Build Back Better Act that will get passed despite the events of Russia and Ukraine. And the incredible checks of this Build Back Better Act will pay you a lot of money, upwards of $50,000 to $60,000. But we have breaking news today about CR for Stimulus 1.0, the one that goes first. That's just a few days away in early March. That great news is that Leahy has your back and is not letting people take money out of that discretionary funds for themselves. Oh boy, this is good news. I have the latest details on CR for Stimulus 1.0. CR for Stimulus 4.0 that could potentially have money for Ukraine is not going to get merged with 1.0. I'll have the breaking news about that. But I told you what Friday was going to be today. That is the new labor numbers. What did it signal, and what does it signal where the Federal Reserve is going to go next week? This is impacting your SS 300. That additional $300 more per month if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security and Railroad benefits that Joe Biden can do with simply a phone call. All the latest breaking details on that. Then we have a lot of details, brand new, breaking in the last few minutes. We have, of course, the funding bill. Then we have the the Fed's favorite inflationary gauge came in at 5.2%, the highest gauge in nearly annualized since 1983. We have the price of Brent crude, that very rude guy. He's new on the channel. He's Brent and he's crude. And he is looking at potentially an oil spike of 130 a barrel if the Russia-Ukraine situation goes on. I'll tell you whether that's likely. Then we'll be looking at the brand new success stories of viewers this channel from Third Stimulus. And I have an update about how to get these big sums of money from Third Stimulus to viewers getting a lot more money across the board. We have a brand new recording with a lot of breaking news. Stay to the very end and learn how you can be among those viewers who have averaged out $45,000 from Third Stimulus. They're still getting it to today. All those breaking details plus the latest on what's happening in Russia and Ukraine happening right now as it impacts your wallet on Mornings. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you are good and safe. The Russia-Ukrainian tensions continue. By the end of the weekend, we will learn whether Ukraine falls or not. Currently, the number of fatalities among Russian troops is the worst since the Cold War. 3,000 Russian troops have died. Ukraine is still holding, but Vladimir Putin is looking to take Ukraine by the weekend and put in a puppet government. He may not succeed. I have the latest details on what that is doing with your wallet later in this video, but let's first, of course, go right into Build Back Better Act, CR for Stimulus 1, 2, 3, and 4.0. I have a lot of breaking news, then the new inflationary numbers that came in today that impacts your wallet, what the Federal Reserve is likely to do in less than 2 weeks away. I have all that brand new breaking news. I told you Friday was going to be a big day. It's a lot of brand new stuff in today's developing details back here in the States. And then, of course, we're going to look at the big money you can get right today from Third Stimulus. But first, I want you to go in this video and subscribe. You want to be part of the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. You're watching it at LALATE, live and direct from Santa Monica, California. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and family to come on over. We're on our path to heading to #2. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Sign up for those LA alerts. A new link to which is under the video. And also, we have an update about Third Stimulus. It's new and re-updated in today's video. Stay to the very end. I'm going to show you how to get big sums of money today. If you want $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, I bet you do. It's coming up later in this video. But let's first start with the fourth stimulus recon, the Build Back Better Act, that still will get done despite the events of overseas. The Build Back Better Act has 3 classes of checks and 3 add-ons. Let's look at each of them. They're still getting done, and as Andrew Bates, as president spokesperson, says, Joe Biden wants all these checks to go out right away, which would include, of course, those adult automatic stimulus checks. Let's look at those three clusters and three add-ons, starting with the first cluster. Hazard pay got in there. One more year for my essential workers. Earn income tax credit. Learn about it at irs.gov. $4,000 of elder care got in there. $4,000 of checks for young children. $3,600 CTC checks got in there as well. One more year. Learn about that at irs.gov. $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. And then the Pell Grant, $550 check for my college students got in there as well. There are three add-on checks, and the first one is one that really excites so many viewers of this channel. It comes from here in Southern California, from Maxine Waters. She got in on the House side. It's stayed in there so far on the Senate side. It is money for the purchase of your first home. Wow, that is huge. It is money given from the federal government to the seller at the close of escrow in your name. It is absolutely incredible. And there you go. That is the first add-on of checks. Now let's turn to the second cluster of checks. Home repairs and paid leave. Home repairs, if you have to put up a hedge because the neighbor moved in and all he wears is lobster shorts. Oh, my eyes. And paid leave. If you have to take off from work because the senator's office where you work at, all he does is show up as wearing lobster shorts. My eyes. Paid leave. How much is it? It's a lot of money, folks. It is $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. $35,000 annual salary, $800 a week. 15, then that's $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. W-2, 1099, you all get these incredible sums of money. The great news is that if you don't work, but your son or daughter does work, they're going to get the check if they have to take off from work because of they have to take you to the doctor once a week. Incredible. And this is paid leave. It is the second cluster of checks. Now let's go into the second add-on of checks. It comes from Bob Casey. Joe Biden. You remember the number? Jump in the live chat and write the number right now. Also tell me how the weather is where you are. I know it is very cold in some parts of the country. It was brutally cold here in Los Angeles this morning. It was in the 30s before sunrise. I know that's cold for LA standards, but here you go. $250 billion free home health care for senior people on disabilities. Wow, got it in there. And this is huge. Free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. The second of three clusters. Let's go to that third cluster. Checks seniors and free internet. Free internet for all. If you want free internet today, you can get it right today. It is in some places. Reach out to the community page. The volunteers know about it. That's coming up at the commercial break. But they also got in there checks for the farmers, checks for independent contractors. Free school meals for all checks. Lower prescription medication checks, and then seniors. Seniors got a lot of checks. On the House side, they got the Medicaid gap fix, more about that in a second, and the hearing checks. But on the Senate side, they vowed to add in their dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course of when we're talking about adding in a third add-on of checks. If you're on the live chat right now, and remember what that third add-on of checks is, it starts with the letter M. Write it right now. There it goes. I saw someone write it. MSC. MSC. What is it? How much do you get? Where does it go? What's the eligibility? Let's go over all the incredible great details of it right now. Joe Biden's spokesperson, Andrew Bates, says that all the incredible checks of the Build Back Better that even senators add, he wants to have them go out right now. He's ready. These are adult automatic stimulus checks out from IRS on a monthly basis. MSC, monthly IRS stimulus checks. The children, they get checks, the CTC, not this one, if they're younger. So who gets this? Eligibility is the same as a third stimulus check. The Senator's representative uses this channel. Single individuals, $75,000 or less annual income, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less annual income, you get as well. Double it. Family of four, you get it. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, you get it as well. Adult dependents also get it. It is not taxable. It is not income. It is offered on a nationwide basis, and that means that you would all get it. This is all for middle class and lower income individuals. So someone yesterday was saying, there's nothing in Build Back Better for lower and middle class. Untrue. That's what Build Back Better is about. And one viewer the day before said, my fiance said you have to pay this all back. I'm never going to let that comment slide, folks. Never going to let that comment slide. My reaction to that viewer is, you need to return the engagement ring. Find a new fiance who knows what he's talking about. This relationship is starting off on a bad note. Not our relationship, you and him. There we go. And that is MSC. So how much money? $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. Wow, it's huge. It's going in there. That's Build Back Better Act. But Is there an opportunity to get checks to you sooner? There are, and that is CR for stimulus 1, 2, and 3, and 4.0. Let's go over the details of each of them right now with the breaking news. It's brand new in the last few minutes, folks. You're hearing it first on Mornings. First, when would Build Back Better Act get done, and how does it get done? They would send it to a Senate subcommittee, add the modifications, call for a vote, and then finish it on the Senate floor with a vote, then a 2-day vote-a-rama. But that hasn't happened. So, 4 weeks ago, I brought on camera a proposal. Do you want to bring back a CR for stimulus from 2020 back to this channel? And viewers said yes. If you're new to this channel, don't know what it is, let me explain what it is. CR for stimulus is the concept of using a continuing resolution or something similar to it to insert a check in it and get it going out very quickly. The concept is we support Build Back Better for stimulus recon, but we want a check to go out sooner. And now we have big, great news about that, brand new on Mornings. CR for Stimulus was created by me in December 2020 when we had seen the second stimulus package, thousands of pages in length, start negotiations in spring of 2020 and have no deal. Summer, no deal. Fall, no deal. Winter, no deal. And by December, I said, can't keep on doing this in 2020. We need money. So I thought to myself, what could I find? And I wanted to find something that was bipartisan, small, just a few hundred pages in length, and could get done with an inherent deadline very quickly. And I found it, a continuing resolution. So I made the recording on air, came up with the creation. Insert a stimulus check was my creation into the December 2020 continuing resolution. It was my creation. I made the recording. I asked the viewership of this channel to push for it, and we made history. I made history because the CR for stimulus happened. You made history as the Purple Power Caucus, the viewership of the channel, because you pushed and you got them to hear you. And they got in there. The $600 stimulus check that millions of Americans got in December 2020 was my creation because I came up with the idea to put it to the continuing resolution, and you pushed and they heard you. Ironically, what happened after that is second stimulus fell apart. No bill, no vote, no check. No one ever got that second stimulus package because there was none. It never got to a law. Well, 4 weeks ago, we delivered back on air CR for Stimulus 2022 edition. The new CR has an early March deadline. Now, yesterday, if you're watching Afternoons LALATE yesterday, I showed you breaking news as several organizations were trying to come after money that could potentially be yours in the continuing resolution for themselves. Lord. The great news going into this second half of today's brand new breaking news story is that the continuing resolution with that early March deadline is intact. Yes. $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds are still in there. $1.5 trillion has enough for a stimulus check in there. It has bipartisan support. It's staying to its deadline. And Patrick Leahy, who I've talked about on this channel for over 2 weeks, is watching your back. Yesterday, I delivered to you no less than 2 different groups who were trying to take some of this money that would be at least a $2,000 stimulus check for you if they spent it on you for themselves. Leahy did not allow it. So I have the breaking news on the great developments of CR for Stimulus 1.0 after the commercial break. Also great news is that a Russian sanctions bill that potentially would also be a funding bill for Ukrainian forces on the ground, CR for Stimulus 4.0, thankfully, will not be merging with 1.0. And I will tell you why this is really good news. You might be able to figure it out yourself during the commercial break, but I'll tell you why it's great news. Then, of course, we have the brand new big numbers, which I told you is coming in today. It just came in minutes ago. It is the Fed's favorite inflationary gauge. It is not the inflationary number itself. It's an inflationary gauge. It came in at its highest number since 1983. Oh, Lord. So what does that mean going into next week? FOMC mean by the Federal Reserve? Will it be spiking you 50 basis points or 25? I have the latest details on that and how it's impacted by the Russia-Ukraine situation. Plus, we'll be looking back at Brent and his crudeness. The price of barrels of gasoline impacted by the events of Ukraine and Russia. The Federal Reserve, the federal government, Joe Biden had some great moves yesterday on it. If you missed it, it's really great news to keep your price of gasoline at the pump lower. But I'll go over the latest details of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia just minutes ago that could signal whether that's hard to do or not hard to do. It's a lot coming up in the second half of this video with your money and more. I have all the incredible details direct and live from Santa Monica, California, as Mornings LA continues live with you. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. See you back in 60 seconds. As the toast is toasting, the butter is budding, and the coffee is brewing. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Mornings LA as we go into the big second half of today's breaking news. We're going to go over the CR for Stimulus 1.0 that got great news overnight as Patrick Leahy protected your money after several groups, including the White House, trying to get some of that money spent on itself. I'll go over the latest on CR for Stimulus 1.0. 4.0, which is the Russian sanctions bill and is potentially turning into a support bill for Ukraine forces, will stay away from 1.0. Thank goodness. I'll explain to you why. The latest on 2 and 3.0 as well in this recording. Then, of course, we'll look back into the breaking news that I told you would be coming today. It is the new inflationary gauge, and it gives you a indication of where your SS 300 would go. This is additional $200, $300, $400 per month if you're on benefits each month, and can be done in less than 30 days from now. And then, of course, I have the breaking details of where viewers have now cleaned up with more money this week. I see one of the viewers in live chat, Bob Bacon. He sends us an incredible message of his success in recent days. I want you part of this incredible family. You're watching LA. So go into this video and subscribe. Be part of this incredible family. The #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Broadcast, cable, and internet. Bring us to #2. We're on a tear. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. See the very end of this video because I will be going over the brand new details about how to get these big sums of money from third stimulus to go into the weekend. The situation on the ground in Ukraine and Russia is tense at the moment. 3,000 Russian troops have died, the most fatalities since the Cold War in a battle. Vladimir Putin is looking to take the capital of Ukraine by the weekend and put in a puppet government, but it may not happen. You're looking at stock footage of the beautiful country of Ukraine. This is not live footage. And currently, Russia is not doing well in an attempt to take Ukraine. The question is, if it does take Ukraine this weekend, then what's next? But let's go back into CR for Stimulus 1.0 and the situation as it's impacted by the events in Ukraine starting right now. CR for Stimulus 1.0, of course, is the spending bill for the federal government. No one wants the federal government to default during an act of tense foreign events like this. So the March deadline is likely to hold. That's number one. Number two, the great news is that Patrick Leahy had your back overnight. If you're watching on Afternoons LA yesterday, I told you that several groups were trying to come after money that would ultimately be potentially for you. Earlier this week, I told you the great news, as the CR, the Continuing Resolution of March, has $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds included in there by bipartisan support of negotiations led by Leahy and Schumer among Republicans and Democrats, House and Senate over the last few weeks. $1.5 trillion is a lot of money, folks. That's at least a $2,000 stimulus check. The discretion is in the hands of cabinet members like Janet Yellen, head of Treasury, IRS. Viewers of this channel have been very good on social media advocating. Princess on Twitter has been doing some amazing emojis advocating for the assurance that the money is spent on you. If you watched Afternoons LA yesterday, I told you that there were several groups trying to come after that money. Who were they? Number one, the White House, ironically, trying to use some of that money on more COVID testing. Ugh, please. The White House has already spent $6.1 trillion on COVID testing. This should not be part of this package. Leahy overnight said it's not happening. You're not going to use that money on that. Good. And yesterday I said there was one group trying to take the money. I did a live poll chat. I said, do you think it's Mitch and Lobster Shorts trying to take your money or the restaurant union? Everyone chose Mitch. They were wrong. The restaurants were trying to take your money with those dirty, fishy hands they have. Well, needless to say, I'm not a fan of the restaurant union, and they failed. So Leahy blocked that as well. What's important for you to do is do what you've been doing so well. Advocate to those legislators to say, you got it. Just spend it the right way. You got $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds in that CR for Stimulus 1.0. Use normal language. Don't use the language I use on this channel because they may not follow you. Tell them you got $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds in the continuing resolution of early March. Spend it on the American people. We've had your back. Give us a $2,000 stimulus check. It's more than enough. It's at the discretion of the cabinet. Set it out. You want to hold those seats. You want to gain new seats. You need to start taking care of us. We've watched your back for Build Back Better Act for 11 months. Get it in there. And that's the latest details on CR for Stimulus 1.0. Great news. Leahy is watching your back. The surprising news is CR for Stimulus 4.0, which was the Russian sanctions legislation, which for some reason the Senate never got going. Got an interesting twist overnight. And the interesting twist on this overnight is that there are House and Senate Republicans and Democrats who want to spend money on Ukraine to help give them resources on the ground. Now, it's a great idea, but let's go over why it's good, how they're addressing the situation, at least for our purposes, but bad for Ukraine. It's a little complicated. Let me explain what's going on. The Russian sanctions bill was supposed to sanction Russia before invading Ukraine. It's a mess that senators did not get it done. That's the first issue. So now they're saying, oh, well, we want to send some resource to Ukrainian citizens and Ukrainian military. When? After the government falls? It's just sort of ridiculous. So they're not really senators are not taking care of Ukraine at all, timely. The only thing that's good about this story is that they are saying, Leahy especially, Wyden and also Adam Schiff, we are not putting Ukrainian relief or Russian sanctions into the continuing resolution. I'll say it again. They're not putting Ukraine and Russia issues into the continuing resolution. Good. They're keeping it apart. It's not good for the Ukrainian people, and it doesn't show that we've acted in thoughtfulness for other countries, but at least they're not making the CR, which can get done in just a few days away from now, get off the rails. They keep it on the track. All right, CR for Stimulus 2 and 3.0. That started with the House Democrats. That is happening, and it will be happening. That started with Pete Aguilar in the House, where they said they need to pass other pieces of legislation. We support the president's Build Back Better Act, but it's taking too long. So they passed one piece of legislation, sent it to the Senate. And the Senate Republicans, led by Todd Young, says we're going to merge it with our stuff across the board. Why such bipartisan support? Because millions of Americans need help right now because of inflation. And that inflation is at issue. And that is CR for Stimulus 1, 2, and 3, and 4.0, your latest update. Let's go right now into SS 300, 200, and 400. And the way I'm going to go into it is I'm going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to give you the breaking news, which I told you was coming in on Friday. It came in minutes ago. The new inflationary numbers. And boy, get ready to breathe. Get ready to breathe. All right, what are we talking about? When Liz Warren ran for president 2 years ago, she promised an additional $200 a month on top of your existing benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, veterans benefits. She ultimately withdrew from her run for president. Joe Biden says, I'll pick up her policies. I like them, and I'll do them. He promised them. He got elected on those promises. He then put in his transition papers as president-elect at joebiden.com. You can still read them. He said it's an urgent situation. At the time, we did not have inflation. At the time, we just had COVID. Well, now you need this money more than ever. 3 weeks ago, I delivered on air how to bring SS200 to millions of Americans. Then this week, I showed you how to do it as $300 and as $400. And now I'm going to show you how the new economic data today signals how you need it so big and why you need it so quickly. Let's look at the big, huge economic numbers that came in today. As I had told you all week, they're coming on Friday. Inflation and inflation gauges. They're two different numbers. We have inflation released once a month, and then we have other numbers that tell us maybe where inflation will come when we get it announced. Well, the inflation gauge that the Fed uses as its benchmark was announced minutes ago. 5.2%, the highest annual gain since 1983. Breathe deeply. It's not good, folks. It's really high. Orders for durable goods doubled, higher than expectations. Consumer spending came in higher than expectations. And then we had prices of food and energy prices up 6.1%, the highest since 1982. This is huge. And again, this is the benchmark that the Fed uses to determine what to do with its interest rate spikes. We have 5 Federal Reserve meetings this year. Will there be 5 interest rate spikes in 5 meetings? Likely so. Will there be 7 interest rate spikes in 5 meetings? We don't know. Now we're hearing about potentially 8. The first one, which is just days away from now, is the one in which we want to see if we're going to come in at a whopping half basis point or quarter. Half basis point would be higher than anticipated. And there's new reports out by Paul Ashcroft, chief U.S. economist, capital economist, said, we might have seen half basis point coming next week had Russia and Ukraine not occurred. But because of Russia and Ukraine, it looking like 50 basis point is less likely. It's a big gamble. It's a gamble. We really don't know, folks. The bottom line is that inflation is really high. So how does this work? The concept is very simple. All the president has to do is just make a phone call. Let's go over the calculation of the numbers for you right now and then go over how he does it. The calculation is very simple. Replace COLA, which is your current benchmark, with inflation. Inflation is higher than COLA. You replace it right today, your benefits will go up $200 a month today. Inflation is likely to stay higher by December. That will raise you up another $100. That will be $300 come January next year. That's SS 300. Then inflation is set to be a little bit stable by the end of that year. Maybe another $400, $40 there. That's SS $400. So what's at issue? What's at issue is using the benchmark that works. In January last year, spring of last year, I said that inflation in December 2021, 2 months ago, was going to be 8%, not temporary. Federal Reserve said 1 to 2% temporary. They were really wrong. And this is Jay Powell. He got it really wrong. Then Wall Street said it was going to be 2 to 3%. 1 month, wrong. Well, it came in 7.5% December. So I was wrong. But immediately I said, what about the next month? Is it going to go down? I said, no. I say it's going to stay the same or go higher. I trained you last month how to learn about this yourself, see it yourself before I even report it. Look at those eggs you buy at the supermarket. Same brand, same market. Are they going up every month, every week, every day? Then keep track of it and you can see inflation before I tell you across the board. Well, now we see that inflation is coming in robustly and it's not going down. That's why if Joe Biden swapped it out today, your benefits would go up about $200 more per month. And then by December, another $100. That is why this is great news across the board. Now, let's look at how he does it. All he has to do is pick up the phone and call the Social Security Administrator. Say, hey, swap COLA with inflation. Swap COLA with inflation. Now, let me turn to the other big issue that impacts your wallet and impacts your stimulus, impacts for stimulus recon, and impacts any other type of stimulus, including CRs, that the government does, and it is price of gasoline at the pump. If you're in the live chat right now, tell me where you're tuning in from and what the price of gasoline is at the pump where you are. Let's just use regular gasoline, your average credit card pump station. California, Los Angeles, you're about $5 a gallon. So The data that came in yesterday was really good. The data today is not as good. Let me tell you what's going on. Brent Crude, that really rude guy who needs his own graphic on this show, he's crude and he's Brent. What's going on? The price of gasoline is bought by barrel. It's called Brent Crude. And the federal government, Joe Biden, is trying to keep it at a price that doesn't get out of control, because if it gets out of control, this is trouble, folks. Gasoline at the pump out of control could cause unemployment, stagflation, or recession. It's bad, even with the other economic elements I just went over. So what is the federal government doing? He did really two great things yesterday, and let me explain to you why he did them. First, the Russian sanctions bill, the Russian sanctions that Joe Biden has put in place, is now taking gasoline, petroleum, from Russia, major supplier of it, out of U.S. soil. So we don't have Russian oil at our pump anymore. We also don't have Ukrainian oil. So that causes concern that whoever provides us the oil may spike up our prices. Well, Joe Biden did something really well yesterday. He first said, for U.S. manufacturers of gas, you're going to be criminally prosecuted if you price gouge us, because we've now taken Russian and Ukrainian barrels out of our pipeline. That was good. Number two, he also vowed by the end of potentially today to release some of the strategic oil reserves that are in stock so that we can keep the price of gasoline down. When we release more gasoline barrels, then the gas prices go down. What is this thing called? I'm going to make it very simple for you. Imagine a room, and in the back of the room, there's some barrels of gasoline. In the front of the room, they have lobster shorts in there. So you walk in there, oh, this is the lobster storage room? I don't want to see this. Close the door. Well, those extra barrels of gasoline are kept by the federal government so they can release them to the supply chain. So at any time the gasoline gets too high, they can bring the price down. You release more barrels, the price goes down. So don't worry that we're going to run out of barrels, because the federal government just goes buys them more every time, they needs extra barrels. The president was looking to keep us down to about $93 a barrel. I need you to know these numbers because I'm going to be on these numbers for the next few weeks. $93 is what the president wants to do. We're at about 100 at the moment. $100 a barrel. This is not how much you pay, how much the wholesaler pays. Well, I had told you yesterday that analyst reports said that where we are right now at $100 a barrel, we can sustain that, the American public, for about 6 months if inflation doesn't go higher. Inflation is not likely to go higher, so we could sustain that, $100 a barrel. The problem is we may not be able to sustain that number. There are new concerns today that that we may be heading to 130 a barrel because of Russia and Ukraine going on longer than anticipated. And yesterday I told you 125 a barrel doesn't even work. So it's very, very tense. You can't let this gasoline go out of control. Now, I told you other great news yesterday, but I want to give you a timeline on this news. The federal government is looking to finish a potential huge deal with Iran over nuclear treaty. And if they get that done, then Iranian oil, which is in the millions of barrels, would go back into the U.S. consumption, and we would be able to see prices at the pump go down dramatically. But the problem with that deal is it's several weeks away at best. So it's a very tense situation. Now, let me go back into Build Back Better Act right now and explain to you how this all tees up across the board. Build Back Better Act, for stimulus recon, will get passed. It will get passed despite all the events of Ukraine and Russia. And CR for stimulus 1, 2, 3, and 4.0 will all get passed. But you know why I'm here. You know why you're here as well. Cashing checks, not tracking checks. And the great news is that third stimulus is still paying viewers, like Bob Bacon, who's in the live chat. I'm going to go over his success story in just a second. Like Brian Donahue, brand new overnight, is still paying viewers money. The average view of this channel has gotten 45,000. I'm going to show you how to cash them checks right now. These third stimulus checks are repeated in fourth stimulus, but no time and place to wait for fourth stimulus to become a law. Let's go over that third stimulus money right now before we cut back into Build Back Better Act. Third stimulus is rent, utilities, mortgages, and more. And where do you get it from? Here's an upgraded look into where you get these big sums of money across the board. You want to get them from your city housing authority, county housing authority, and the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, utility assistance because of COVID, mortgage assistance because of COVID. You must reach out to all 6 places. You must put multiple applications on file, and you must do multiple rounds. Sign up for that membership newsletter so you get more information, and rely upon those nonprofits, because those nonprofits in the newsletter feature other sums of money for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance more. City Hall, City House Authority, County Hall, County House Authority, and State Hall. As you know, this channel has gotten about $45,000 from third stimulus. You want to get it today, act today, and get an additional round of these monies. Don't sit around, do it today. Now, what I want to say in a tough love moment right now is that the incredible sums of money from third stimulus are available. And I know my viewers by heart, some of their names by heart. I know the monies you've gotten, but I haven't seen a lot of you get some of these sums of money in recent days. For example, I know some viewers who got this money earlier last year, last summer, last fall. And I see in the live chat, I wonder, I haven't seen you get another round of money. So get another round. I want you to use these viewers as your inspiration. Nisi, you know Nisi. She got about $30,000, $40,000 from third stimulus last year from 2 rounds. She got another round. And here is her update. Hey, LALATE, I got another $7,000 for rent, another $3,000 for utilities. I told you I'd get more money. Use Karen Joseph as your inspiration. She got $40,000 this week, another round. She got $23,000 more for rent, $13,000 for more for SNAP, and $4,000 for utilities. I feel so blessed. Get those checks and cash them today. This channel is about cashing checks, not tracking checks, and I want you to get every sum of check you can get across the board. If you've had success stories like this, send to me on private message, social media. I'll feature them live on air throughout the week and weekend. Now, let's go back into Build Back Better Act that has this big money from third stimulus repeated in there and other sums of money across the board. What are those other checks that are in Build Back Better? For single individuals, married couple, low income, middle class. Let's go over some of those incredible checks of Build Back Better Act right now across the board. They got in there the SALT cap, raising from $10,000 to $72,500 of what you can see in local taxes. They got cheaper prescription medication growing from 20 to 30 by year 2028. Medicare Part B and D, the most expensive medications out there, like an insulin dose dropping from $3,000 to $35. $40 billion of free job training checks got in there. They got in there the Medicaid gap fix. We talked about that earlier. What is that? That is a workaround plan that Democrats got in there that provide years of subsidized private insurance to low-income uninsured people in those states. We just went over the housing assistance, which of course includes those home repairs and to weatherize your home. And then we have a lot of items from third stimulus to repeat. Hazard pay, CTC, the children's check, the home health care aid check. And then we have new items like the $550 check for college students, the Pell Grant, the $12,500 for a new electric vehicle. This is given at the time of the cash register purchase. So you go to buy the electric vehicle, U.S. auto manufactured, U.S. soil, you'll pay $12,500 less. $65 per month for nutrition, got it in there as well. And just a lot of other checks. These provisions are the same provisions that are covered in all the videos throughout the recordings of today, from 3 a.m. to 8 o'clock 3 a.m. to 11:30 every day. We got shows on this channel, 16 shows a day practically at the moment. And all these incredible checks of Build Back Better Act will get passed. $60,000 of checks for the American people. CR for Stimulus 1.0, the first item teed up earliest. That is an early March deadline. You want to really advocate to those legislators to make sure they spend those discretionary funds on you across the board. Finally, my commentary and tell you what's going on as we go into a big new week. A lot of details going on over in Ukraine and Russia. We will see by the weekend if the country of Ukraine falls to Russia or not. Vladimir Putin is trying to take the capital of Ukraine by the weekend. He may not. He's currently lost 3,000 troops. He's not doing well. What would happen thereafter is clearly a big concern. NATO forces are on NATO lands, protecting those those soils. That the question is how this impacts you is very keen and clear. Follow me on Twitter, and especially on Twitter, what I'm doing is I am retweeting messages from the Ukrainian military. These are official, this is the official account of the Ukrainian military and the Ukrainian government. On Twitter, when you open a tweet and you look under the tweet, you can translate the tweet to English. So you may not recognize the language when you're looking at the tweet that I'm retweeting at LALATE on Twitter. But when you open the tweet, you can push the button translate and it'll translate it to you. And it shows you the latest updates on what's happening on the ground. This all impacts your price of oil and gasoline at the pump. We have big questions across the board about how it may impact other items, which I'm not really covering yet on this channel, which is aluminum. Aluminum and steel are big exports from Ukraine. This impacts the housing market and the rental market. I haven't gone into that yet because we really don't know that data. That is one of those elements that is sort of out there on the edges. But we have a lot of shows throughout the day and a lot of new shows, all with the breaking news. I'm glad to be back with you, and I appreciate everyone that is in the live chat right now. Who is in there? There's Juan Garcia. There's Bob, and there's Holly Ann, and there's Mary, and there's Carmen, and Ann, and Ailita, and John Thompson. The Thompson is Thompsoning. And there's Sandy, and there's Lingland. Hey, Lingland, how are you? There's Ella Beza and Juan Garcia, and there is Corina. What a beautiful name, Isabella, and Shirley and Lula. So join me next as Noontime LA heats up at 11 a.m. And then we got a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock. Brand new Evenings LA at 5 o'clock. So much details. I'll stay with me all weekend long because, folks, you know what? There's a lot of breaking news. I don't have to tell you about that. Whether it's back on U.S. soils or it is overseas, it'll all be covered across the board as it impacts your wallet. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee's brewing. We got a big day just starting, and this is LALATE.